Alrighty, everybody, and welcome back to Phineas, Flynn's Law, a new live stream continuing from last night, which was more of just my general thoughts on the crossover. But tonight we're actually going to get into spoilers. I have a full list of things I want to talk about, but we're going to dedicate the first 5 minutes or so to answering your questions. So go ahead and put them in the top chat or the live chat for me. Hello, everybody. I see all of you saying hi there. Is the audio okay? Can you guys hear me? That would be a good thing to answer as well. So go ahead, give me as many questions as you can. Let's go ahead and, I guess, get started. Just gonna wait for a second. You don't watch it yet? Can you watch? You can watch it on Kim Cartoon. That's where it is right now. It's gonna be out in more places in a day or so. How am I today? I'm doing actually very fantastic. It's been a very good day. Worst Phineas and Ferb episode. The cheese episode. I forget what it's called. I think it's The Remains of the Platypus. That is the worst. How did the episode start? With Doofenshmirtz giving a crossover summary of previous events, like a flashback. Audio's great, thank you. Hey, I've never seen your face before, but you look like Irving's brother. Yes, Albert, that is a very real comparison. How did I do the countdown live stream? I actually made that in Adobe After Effects, exported it, and it just plays as a video file. It's not something that I do live. What did I think of the destruction of Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated? I think it was a plot device to put to put Doof with Milo's family, because he eventually rebuilds it later, and then just rips out the evil part. So it was really just a plot device. Thoughts on ships and MML? I'll take the basic ones: Milo, Amanda, Melissa, and Zach. Not B story. B story, yeah, no. Best Phineas and Ferb episode: Nerds of a Feather. Can I explain the beginning? Yeah, the beginning of the crossover was just kind of a recap of the previous events. Can you watch the crossover on YouTube? Yes, there are quite a few channels that have it. You just should search Phineas and Ferb Milo crossover, and those should just come up. It'll be in bits and pieces, though. Personal headcanons for some of the MML characters. Let's see. I like to think that Cavendish and Dakota were like Brick and Savannah before they destroyed Earth's second moon, because I would have loved to seen the adventure where they had their own time vehicle. Let's see. What's my favorite song from Phineas and Ferb? I like so many songs. Gitchy Gitchy Goo is a classic. Everything's Better with Perry. Those are kind of cliche. How well Perry put up with Murphy's Law? He put up with Murphy's Law pretty well, I thought. Favorite Phineas and Ferb character? I love Irving and Albert's relationship, but my favorite Phineas and Ferb character is probably Doofenshmirtz. You're the one who leaked the crossover, posted the Japanese version on Reddit from different source, and somebody... Oh, Cree? Yes, you're the one who put it together. Thank you for that. Thoughts on the lack of Isabella? We'll get to that in a little bit. Is the crossover on yet? In some places. Favorite is Mix and Mingle Machine. That's a really good song. Favorite part of the crossover? Probably the ending scene with all of the Pistachio people charging up and Professor Time coming back. Favorite Milo Murphy's Law character? Either Bradley or Dakota. Summer Belongs to You. Yeah, that's also a really good song. Crossover did barely have Isabella. Squirrels My Pants. It's okay. That's not my favorite. What did I not like in the crossover? We'll get to that later as well. Thoughts on Phineas and Ferb effect plot point? Again, we'll get to that later. How do you watch the crossover? Twisted Whiskers. If you want to watch the crossover, kimcartoon.com and search the crossover. Or there's clips of it on YouTube. Just search Phineas Milo crossover. Thoughts on Zalissa ship teasing? And we'll get to that in the crossover. What do I think about the Marvel episode? It's okay. It's nothing special. I mean, it's the Marvel episode. Okay, really quick. I got to show you guys this. So this was released today from one of the new clips of Season 2 of Milo Murphy's Law. So it looks like we're going to get to see more of the Time Travel Bureau and how it works. And so you have Mr. Block, a llama, and I don't even know what the third person is supposed to be. But it goes with Cavendish saying that there was the whole world domination by llamas thing. in the missing Milo episode. So apparently the llamas had to work out some legislation with the humans, and apparently now they're co-owning the Time Travel Bureau. Okay, what you don't get is why 20 years in the future, Doof and Perry are fighting. That episode is not canon, contrary to popular belief, because Isabella goes back and gives them the wood steel fusing tool. So everything you see in that episode isn't canon. Favorite reference song from Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Toboggan of Love. Star Wars versus Marvel. Star Wars has better songs, but the Marvel crossover is more fun and has a better final act. Favorite Phineas and Ferb episode, Nerds of a Feather. Llama Incident 2. Yeah. Do I think they'll make a Milo Murphy's Law movie? Right now, probably not. Wait, have you seen the crossover yet? I did yesterday. You have, though, right? Yes, I've seen the crossover. That's why the video is called Crossover Thoughts. Adios, Skunky Wild. I hope you have a good night. Least favorite Phineas and Ferb character. There's some stinkers out there. But they were mostly just one episode, so I never really got invested in them. Milo, you can't really judge if it's going to be canceled after season 2 yet, because what they did is they're airing it on Disney Channel, so they're going to look at the numbers for season 2 on Disney Channel before they decide whether or not it's going to get a season 3. And because they're airing all Milo on Disney Channel now, it's going to get more popular, which means it'll probably be renewed for season 3. In the Star Wars episode, they were going to mention Phineas and Candace's father. I mean, they were about to, and they didn't. I don't think they ever had plans of mentioning their father. But if you don't like that they even teased that, I mean, that's okay. The Woodpecker incident, I hope they cover it in a future episode. New voice for Ferb, he's great. I couldn't tell the difference. Alright, so last one. What shows do I watch besides Milo? I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm catching up on Kim Possible. I watch The Flash. I watch Sherlock. I watch... I'm trying to think. I don't really have a whole lot of time for a bunch of TV. I think I may start another show soon. Do Stay Out. Do Stay Out looks like a really fun episode. Kim Cartoon brings up... Yeah, just search on YouTube, Twisted Whiskers, if you really want to see it. Their clips are all over YouTube. Vanessa does not appear in the crossover. And yeah, Cree said she was mentioned. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to pull up my list of crossover things to talk about. Drive. Just give it a second. Yeah, I've wanted to try Hey Arnold. I've heard that one's really good. Okay, so crossover. Let's talk first about the plot. So, the Pistachio arc was resolved for the most part. The only real remnant that we have of it is Bradley's arm. And that's just supposed to be played as a joke. Obviously, full spoilers from here on out. So the Pistachio arc was completed, and it made sense because they wrote it as a loop from the beginning. And I think they did that very well. You know, they threw in the letter at the end, which was a major part of missing Milo. Waiting 11 minutes to introduce Phineas and Ferb. I was okay with this. Some people were upset that they weren't in the beginning of the crossover. I like that they introduced Buford and Baljeet and Doofenshmirtz and Monogram and Perry all before Phineas and Ferb, because it was a really nice build to when you got their entrance and you got the whole yes it has joke before you cut to commercial break. And that's one of the funny things is with a crossover like this, you can do a joke like that because it's not like there's ad breaks in between. I don't think they could have done the yes it has joke if there wasn't a commercial break. Cutting back and forth between the various... Milo didn't say Phineas and Ferb trough out. I don't understand. The cutting back and forth, though, it was really good. Like the way they balanced the A and the B plots. It never felt like you were staying on any one plot for too long. Um, yeah. Okay. So each character was written. Pretty much got their time to shine, even if they weren't fully in the crossover. Like they got a moment, which I mean I appreciate that they did that. Abby, yes, Isabella is in the crossover. Um, okay. So the letter time loop. There's this really interesting line. So in Fungus Among Us, Cavendish, Dakota, and Milo, they come back from 1965, right? And they land in Milo's time, but 2 weeks later, because Dakota says, "All right, so we're in Milo's time, but now it's 2 weeks later." Then at the end of the crossover, Milo says to Orton, "You need to give this letter to Melissa and Zach in 50 years last week." This doesn't really work because that would mean Missing Milo would have to take place after the beginning of Fungus Among Us, which timeline-wise, we're just going to assume that Milo made an error. So even though you got the letter wrap-up, I think Milo just kind of he forgot that they went forward an extra 2 weeks. Um, could somebody in the chat below get Twisted Whiskers a link to the clip for the crossover, please? I don't know if you can post links in there, but if you do it, I should be able to approve it. But yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Derek's plan. Because, Dan and Swampy, when they write their villains, they're not always the greatest. I really love what they do with the show. But let's talk about Derek's plan. So, in Fungus Among Us, he spent 10 years planning it, right? He spent 7 years brainstorming. He took a summer off to do some modeling. And, and then he buckled down in the last 6 months and came up with this plan to replace pistachions with rubber masks. Now, in the crossover, Derek recounts his plan, and we even get a scene at the very end. As soon as he lands in 1955, he goes into the diner and says, "Great, I can start my 50-year plan to replace every human being with plants and rubber masks." Whoa, hold on. You spent 7 years brainstorming a plan that you generally had an idea what you were going to do. And your father had taught you this. So Derek's continuity plan doesn't really make sense. Like, it, because in one take, you have, he brainstormed this for 7 years. And in another take, he's doing it to please his father, and he's just carrying out his father's work. So, continuity. Also, if he was going for 50 years, why were Danville citizens still being captured? Like I get it, 50 years, and you're going to replace the people with plants and rubber masks, so it looks like life is going on from normal, and you slowly capture them. But with as fast... Here's the thing, pistachion growth is exponential. So once a pistachion has taken over a person, that person can take over like 4 more, because they're extremely powerful. So, it shouldn't have been... First of all, there was nobody in the tri-state area who caught on to, people acting weird, which the pistachions obviously acted really weird. And in this 50-year time period, he's still capturing people to this day. In 50 years, it shouldn't take that long with the amount of force that you had, even just starting in 1965 to replace all the people. But let's just assume his plan took that long to carry out, just for continuity's sake. Also, did nobody notice that Lardworld was closed? If he was using Lardworld as a prison for 50 years, nobody went to Lardworld, nobody said, "Hey, there's some suspicious activity going on over there." It just doesn't really make sense, and I don't know if you guys see that, but I just kind of think that. Let's talk about pistachions. They can be evil, right? So your pistachions generally are these evil creatures, but we see them humanized in moments. And I know some people on Twitter have talked about this, and we even get the moment with the large pistachion where he goes to help people. But with the plant machine, not only does it make them into a pistachio, it makes them inherently evil, willing to obey Derek's command. So, what is he using the tech that Doofenshmirtz invented, the make everything evil tech? Because as soon as Bradley and Irving are hit, they instantly turn with the teeth and go start chasing who Derek wants them to chase. Even the giant floating baby head gets involved in this. Um, and that it's just kind of weird. There's a lot more that went into that machine other than just making them into plants, because plants clearly, as we've seen, aren't inherently bad. So becoming a plant doesn't necessarily mean your personality is going to change, but that's what they made the machines seem like. Um, let's see. Professor Time Continuity. Yeah, this was a brief thing. Dakota says Doof won't invent time travel for 12 years in Fungus Among Us, whereas Cavendish says, I think, 15 in the Phineas and Ferb effects. Just a minor continuity error. Crossover will come out in the US in January. The Phineas and Ferb effect. But yeah, both 12 years and 15 years are after actor age, so that makes sense. Yeah, why did we need Derek to recap his whole life to the kids? This was one of the weird things about the episode. So you have Derek, right? He's in the alleyway. First of all, why is he in the alleyway? Why is he not managing elsewhere? But then he wants these 4 kids. Why does he want these 4 kids? Why does he try and corner them or chase them at all? It doesn't really make any sense. And then he doesn't continue to chase them when they go and get rescued by Phineas and Ferb. So and then he explains his backstory. Like, I get why they did it, to get people caught up who haven't seen Milo Murphy's Law, but it felt kind of superfluous, if you get what I'm saying. It just was like, well, why did he talk to them? Okay, let's see. Characters. Yes. Phineas and Ferb will do, first of all. I had no issues with these characters. They were treated perfectly. Hello, Captain Lego Star Wars. Yeah, Phineas and Ferb, I pretty much had no problem. Some people had problems with Ferb's voice actor. I thought he was fine. And that you even had the nice touches like, Phineas saying to Ferb, hey, that's Vanessa's dad, remember? Is a callback to Night of the Living Pharmacists. Let's see. Milo is our other main character, and he was very well handled, I thought. Yeah, I loved the Nutcracker scene with Diogi. That was absolutely hilarious. And he was still optimistic Milo, remaining positive in the face of everything that was going on, which is pretty it's pretty amazing, even with Pistachios taking over the world. Ferb probably had a different voice actor because of scheduling issues. Okay. Baljeet, he was probably one of my favorite characters. He had a lot of great one-liners and, things that fit with his character. Like, that defies all the laws of physics. His interactions with Melissa and Zach, I think it was great that he was a Lumberjacks fan. And a lot of people are talking about his dab. And I think I mentioned this last night, but the reason Baljeet dabbed is because he's trying to be cool, but he's epically failing, and that's the point. So that's why I was okay with the dab. Let's see. Yeah, his interactions with Melissa and Zach were really funny. Buford, I thought, had some of the best lines in the crossover, for sure. Him and Baljeet, him trying to sacrifice Baljeet to the Pistachions just made me die laughing. And, his assessment of Zach and Melissa as a couple was definitely some foreshadowing for the rest of Season 2, where there will likely be some tension there. Yeah, one of his best moments was the salad bar speech, where he's like, I promise never to eat at a salad bar ever again. And Baljeet's just like, you never do anyway. And he's like, yeah, but they didn't know that till now, Mr. Blabby McMouthinson. And then Baljeet just comes back with, that's not my name. That was pretty funny. Your favorite part was probably when life crushes your lemons, you use a radioactive watermelon to read. Yes, Milo's, his sayings, they're amazing. Wish there was some context for Zalissa before assuming they were a couple, though. So Zalissa is a really weird thing because it's been in the subtext of the show, but never really said out loud. I think if you're looking for proof, probably the math book episode is going to give you your main proof. That's where they have probably their most, cutesy interactions or whatever. I mean, there was also that, they put them together, because they both have to work to, help Milo. So that's what grows them closer together. Yeah, the character interactions were really good. Um, oh, you mean context in the episode? Yeah, there probably should have been some more context. Dakota confronting Cavendish on the island. Yeah, that was really good. Um, let's see. Next character, Melissa. She was well handled. All of her lines, she had her usual sarcasm on at all times, which was great. Let's see. It was nice. Yeah, it was good to see her research from missing Milo come back, even if it was just a one liner to set up the joke with Baljeet. They kept the continuity there. Um, Zach was pretty good. He got to perform Chop Chop Chop. I love it when Melissa's like, "Go, sing your heart out to them," and Zach is looking at Baljeet and he's just like, "I'm not having any of this." Um, let's see. Yeah, and Zach's skepticism, kind of, he's like, "Well, why do you have the tennis playing robot?" That's kind of just Zach's personality, and it crossed over really well. Um, let's see, Candace. Candace, what a funny character. Yeah, her arc was incredibly rushed. The whole I hate Murphy's Law, now I love Murphy's Law in 2 minutes or less could have been done a lot better, but they worked with what they have, and at least she got a moment to shine. My biggest problem was how she was written out at the end of the crossover. There was no plot with her trying to bust the boys to mom. And speaking of which, Phineas and Ferb's mom and dad, were they blind? Did they not see their boys in the giant robot? And Candace didn't even do anything. Like, she didn't even try to bust them. Like, I don't know. I really wish I knew what was up with that, but I don't. Um, I mean, people were saying she was out of character. No, she was perfectly in character. It was fine. It made sense. It was just weird that she didn't address the Phineas and Ferb effect, and the fact that everything working out for Phineas and Ferb meant that the mysterious force was real, and then also at the end she didn't try to bust them at all. Favorite song from the crossover? Oh boy. It's a lot of pressure is better. You get a lot more of the song to like because you get two full verses. Um, but I really like the beat and the melody of How Do I Do It? Because it's a parody of Uptown Funk, and Uptown Funk in and of itself is really catchy. So when Dan and Swampy took it, they made it even catchier. Let's see. Okay. Isabella with only 2 lines was most definitely the biggest disappointment of the entire crossover because we'd all been asking hashtag where's Isabella. My guess is they wrote a crossover and it was probably like an hour and 20 minutes long or something. And then they said, all right, what are we going to cut to make this fit in the time frame? Like, they probably wrote it as like a TV movie, like Across the Second Dimension. So because we've already seen Isabella and the Fireside Girls in the past, they're like, okay, you can just assume that they're going to show up at the end and rescue Phineas and Ferb. And that's an okay assumption. And I can't imagine the writer's room not addressing the issues with, not just the issues, but Isabella's plotline, like what she was doing during the pistachio takeover. The crossover was very rushed. I do feel like that. If I was working at Alco, would you quit if you were treated like Perry the Platypus? He had to work extra hours and no vacation. Yes, I would. Also, Phineas didn't mention Isabella, like, at all until he saw her. He's just like, oh, I'm glad to see you, which didn't make sense because in Night of the Living Pharmacist, his whole arc was, Isabella's gone, and, what are we going to do about this? Let's see. Even though they didn't give Isabella more than 2 lines, they gave her a brief moment of realization after she became unpistachionized. But the focus of that shot really was Time Ape returning on Sarah's shirt to, establish that Dr. Zone has now been reinstated. So, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Isabella. Why wasn't she with Phineas at the end? Did she just run off? Did she not want to see Phineas, or did Phineas not want to check and see if she was okay? Why didn't they have any more interaction on that front. It was weird, a weird choice. Let's see. Yeah, Jeremy, Vanessa, and Stacy were not in the crossover. I was upset that they didn't make Stacy into a pistachion. That would have made so much sense. Let's see. Sarah didn't get any lines. That's a problem. She got to sing "Chop Chop Chop" with them at the beginning, but even if they had just given her one line in the beginning, or like a line, like one line anywhere, Elliot got more lines than Sarah, and it's just really sad. They should have given her at least one line somewhere, given how important of a character she is. Let's see. Doofenshmirtz. He was absolutely fantastic. Jokes on point, character completely amazing. And he's going to be a main character going forward. So for those of you who have seen the new clips that were released today, he's going to be in Snow Way Out, the episode that's going to be released next Tuesday, officially in English. But Doofenshmirtz is confirmed to be living with the Murphys, at least for a while. Is Doofenshmirtz a Murphy? Yes, probably. But I think Doofenshmirtz is a time loop character, meaning at some point he gets hit with the age regressor ray and gets taken back to Gimmelstump, and so that's why neither of his parents show up for his birth, and then he just lives his life in an infinite loop, so he was never even born, just like the letter from Milo Murphy's Law was never written and the peach was never grown. It just exists in the time stream in an infinite loop. Why does Doof wait so long to invent time travel? This goes to Doof's character. Doofenshmirtz doesn't always make sense. Like, you look at when he invented the machine that allowed you to eat as much as you want, because it sped up your metabolism. And the one guy pointed out, hey, everybody would buy one of those. You can make a lot of money. And he's like, no, I've got no overcomplicated plan. I know what I'm going to do. So maybe he wants to experience life for a few more years. Maybe it takes him a while to rebuild his building. And, he has his midlife crisis, and then he realizes, oh yeah, I should probably become Professor Time. That's something that's in my future. And that makes sense. Or here's another theory. Doof could just time travel to when he's supposed to invent time travel, and then just start life there. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so his costume is based off of Cavendish and Orton, but Orton based his costume off of Cavendish and Professor Time, and Cavendish based his costume off of Doofenshmirtz, or Professor Time, because he was a huge fan of Professor Time. So it's another one of those time loop things. All of their outfits were based off each other. That's why they all have the hat with the glass, with the goggles, because they all based off each other. I know you said the time machine in the bathroom was a bad idea, but if you need to go, you should do it last week. Yeah, Doofenshmirtz... he has great ideas. He just, he just forgets sometimes. That's probably why Vanessa was annoyed with the time machine in the bathroom, because it didn't work. He didn't have time juice. It hadn't been invented yet. So who knows what happened when you flushed. Major Monogram was in the crossover, but only briefly. He only needed to be there briefly. That's actually a reference to the Alka files. So Perry is going to go recruit his team to take down the Pistachions. The first person from his team he needs to recruit is Doofenshmirtz. So presumably Perry comes in, he sees all these other people, messages Monogram, hey, we're going to need a full briefing because not everybody can understand, obviously, Perry speak, only Doofenshmirtz can. So that brings in Monogram on the Alka board, and that's why Monogram would even be telling Doofenshmirtz to help him, because Doofenshmirtz is a part of Alka. So, I have not heard about the canceled Phineas and Ferb Lego set, but I would love it. Let's see. Cavendish and Dakota. Both, they're perfect. I mean, their senses of humor were matched. It worked. The Isle of Dakota's plot, like many things in the crossover, was a bit rushed. But, I mean, they gave Cavendish his realization moment, and they put a tear in his eye, and it worked. Phineas and Ferb will probably appear again, yes, in the next special episode. And apparently they're going to be coming back to the Isle of Dakota's fall off in Snow Way Out next week. How does the Isle of Dakota's work? Here's how I think the Isle of Dakota's, because they're if you look during the Pistachio fight at the end, there's a Dakota from the 2195 Christmas Peril. So clearly, what they've done is every Dakota and the little brochure, there's a time that they're supposed to go back to. So Dakotas take the second time machine and go back to that time, and then they travel to the island. So that's why you have all the Dakotas from Cavendish dying in the future who are also on the island. Milo Murphy's Law, I would guess 4 seasons if it does well with season 2. Let's see. Oh, it was a nice touch on the Isle of Dakotas. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was one Dakota who looked like he was in the typical tracksuit, but it was just slightly worn, like he had just been there for a little bit, which would be the Dakota that we saw in the Island of Lost Dakotas episode. So it was a nice touch that that specific Dakota was in there. Let's see. Yeah. Cavendish's idolization of Doof was absolutely hilarious. He's like, Professor Time, he knows my name. That was definitely a highlight. And he grabs Dakota. He's like, he recognizes me, even though he's been with Doofenshmirtz the entire episode. That is funny. Okay, Perry and Diogi. So they had a really cool sequence at the beginning with Perry and Diogi and Milo teaming up. But then they kind of both fall to the background later on. So during the end battle, after... Where was Perry on the Isle of Dakotas? He isn't really shown. He's in the beginning, and then I guess he just goes back with them to the fight at the end. Funnily enough, Perry and Diogi run off and we never see them again about halfway through the Pistachio fight. So presumably that's going to be picked up later with Perry and Diogi as a plotline in Season 2. Let's see. Yeah, he disappeared on the island. They just couldn't find anything for him to do. And Diogi disappeared in the warehouse. I don't think the Pistachions captured him when they all came in. So Diogi's just running free following Milo. He was in and out of the warehouse. Like in some scenes he was there, other scenes he wasn't. Let's see. Orton, he had probably some of the best character development in the episode. It made sense because, he only gets 3 episodes to tell his story, missing Milo, Fungus Among Us, and the Phineas and Ferb effect. So, when you get to the Phineas and Ferb effect, they have to stuff him. They give him a song with Doofenshmirtz, and he gets lots more moments where he's like, that would be cool for Dr. Zone. I got chills when he said, time for danger, time for action. He says, time for Dr. Zone, and the sting kicks in. That was really good. Yeah, Melissa and Zach do remind me of Hermione and Ron, except Zach is probably a lot smarter than Ron, and a lot more sarcastic. Yeah, Perry could have been following Grubs. They do go in the direction of food. That's what Phineas says. Look, Grubs. Whereas Perry Part 1 references. Always good. Yeah, his song was great. I loved Orton's song. It brought out a lot more emotion than I thought it would for the character. It was nice that they paired Doof and Orton with, their similar issues. Yeah, Orton's arc is pretty much complete. Very well done character. And I really liked just his whole story. Django Brown and Jenny are siblings. Really? I did not know that. Side characters, Bradley and Irving were there. Bradley had a great moment where he gets zapped with the Pistachio ray and he's just like, I don't even care anymore. And then, he has the plant arm at the end, which is going to come back later. Irving was in there briefly, scared of Bradley, funny. Amanda briefly, Phineas and Ferb's parents. Yeah, how did they not notice the huge robot? That was an issue. Yeah, why is Jeremy in the background after when they get back to Danville? That doesn't make any sense. So the songs of the crossover, both of them were amazing. Both were really well done. How Do I Do It? Yeah, after thinking about it more, that was my favorite. The Chop 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 reprise, what a way to open the crossover. That was fantastic. Pressure, yeah, very nicely done emotional song, also very catchy. And they reprised the musical cues from Phineas and Ferb and Milo so well. You get the Candace thing, the dun 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 dun, when she first walks in and Baljeet screams. And you get the Perry theme, doobie doobie dooba doobie doobie dooba dum bum bum, and he's on his little side mission with Milo. And then you also get the Milo sting when he walks in after Phineas and Ferb's robot breaks. You get the do 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 do, or it's something along those lines. It's like it was in the first episode, and you have the Phineas and Ferb theme in the background in one of their first scenes. You also get the reprisal of some themes from Milo Murphy's Law earlier, but I think the best thing musically about the crossover was the end. The ending battle with the Pistachions was so well scored, and the climax builds so great. And so when you get to that final part where it's like dun dun da da dun, and then it transitions to like the 1955 drive-through music, it's just so funny. He's like, no, and then the music just builds really cool to this point, and then it's like da 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 da, and we got the 1955. Yeah, Quirky Worky song was in there too. That was in there twice. That was well used. I appreciated that. And the message of the crossover was nice as well. You know, don't worry about your future too much. Things are going to work out fine. And you shouldn't stress, because there's really not a whole lot to stress over, because things are going to work out in the future. And that's really what they're trying to say, is don't worry so much about the future. Like, obviously be cautious, but don't stress out so much that you're ruining your life. Overall, an 8 out of 10, mostly just because they abandoned Candace and Perry and Diogi and a bunch of other characters at different points in the crossover, and because Phineas and Ferb's parents don't see the robot. It bugs me. It really bugs me. Like, just don't include them. But yeah, overall, really good crossover. So, what do you guys want to talk about? Because that was my crossover stuff. 5 out of 10. Oh, wow, that's rough. Quirky Worky song, yep. Good old days. Okay, what is this video, Bobby? What is this video about? Oh, talk about the new clips that were released today. Let's see. I mean, there's the whole Snow Way Out. This is major spoilers. What time is it right now? It's 10:27. Favorite hobby? Probably making YouTube videos, or I do like to build Legos. Kind of cliche. And writing is pretty fun too. Editing. Disney villains. I mean, okay. Snow Way Out is yes, it's an episode set in December. Hold on just a second. I'm going to show you guys really quick. Nope. Just give me a second. I'm going to move this. Turan. Okay, here we go. Test 1, 2. Test. Okay, so we're good on this one. Here you go. Here's a little bit of the episode.
Bonito traje de nieve.
Intento ir preparado.
Aquí estás. Te has dejado la comida.
¿En serio? Gracias. Oh, qué raro en mí. Oh, es la de Sara.
¿Sara? Es la chica, ¿verdad? Sí, vale. Bueno, es la última vez que salgo de fiesta en 3 semanas.
¿El Dr. D aún está con vosotros?
Sí. En fin, es bueno estar preparado, porque si no lo estás, gana el caos.
Hoy voy a esforzarme en ser positivo. No importa lo que pase, veré el lado bueno de las cosas, como haces tú.
Sea lo que sea.
Claro, por ejemplo, si nos absorbiera un tornado, diría... ¡Hala, bonitas vistas!
Bueno, técnicamente...
So yeah, you got the whole Milo, the Phineas and Ferb Doofenshmirtz comes back in Snow Way Out. Okay, we're gonna answer a couple more questions. Let me transition really quick. Okay. So, let's see. Favorite hobby, I answered that time. Okay, Snowy Out Christmas episode. I'm in Florida. That is where I live. You can watch the crossover. It'll probably be somewhere on Google Drive. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to find it. I don't know if you have a Twitter. Or you can just even look at my Twitter page at PFMML News. That's really a good place to see, the kind of stuff that's happening. Can I read off the list of upcoming videos? Well, right now, I have a full crossover review with footage when that comes out. I have a time travel video planned explaining all the time travel in the Milo Phineas universe. I have a video about is the Alka Files actually canon, and I'm going to be doing live streams after every new episode airs in English, giving my review of what happens. So those are kind of videos that are upcoming. There'll probably be another top 10 Phineas and Ferb songs, a top 10 Milo Murphy's Law episodes. And if you guys really want another animation special like the Doof Meets Bill Cipher, I might do that. Mrs. Morosky and Scott, I love it. I love how her desk falls in and Scott saves it. That's really funny. Major, film. Going for film. I would love to do film for theme park attractions. Phineas and Candace's father is nobody in the shows. Yeah, they sound really different in Spanish. Yeah, at PFML News, that's it. It should be there. You spelled it right. Just search Phineas Flynn's Law, if you can't find that. Doof's Time Machine, yes. Okay, so Doof probably, here's the thing. So Phineas and Ferb always do things the best, right? So when Doof has had X number of years to perfect the time machine, he's going to make the most efficient design. So his design looks a lot like Phineas and Ferb's because that is the most efficient design for a time machine. Because obviously Phineas and Ferb would only make the most efficient version possible, but it took Doof a bit longer to kind of crack what makes it so efficient. And obviously year, month, cup holder is not efficient. Crossover's not coming till January because Disney Channel scheduling is terrible. Is Doof there? No, Doof is not Phineas and Candace's dad, despite what many people think. At Red Toxic, were you able to find me on Twitter? Just search Phineas Flynn's Law. Let's see. Yeah, I'll put on a little bit more of Snow Way Out for you guys. It's definitely a repeat of the pilot episode, just slightly different. For sure.
¡Vete a casa!
We got DLG.
Vale, esta vez es imposible que lleguen a la primera clase.
Yo digo que lo harán.
¿En serio? ¿Quieres que volvamos a apostar?
No quiero volver a dejarte sin comida.
Muy bien. El perdedor quitará la nieve de la casa del otro.
Me has convencido. El perdedor quitará la nieve de la casa del otro.
Muy bien. Que no cunda el pánico.
Yo estoy muy tranquilo.
¿Le enviaste el informe?
Sí. Le envié el informe.
¿Y aún no ha respondido?
No, no ha respondido.
¿Quieres parar de sorber la sopa?
Creo que ambos sabemos la respuesta. Mire, ya sé que está nervioso por lo que dirá Block, pero salvamos el mundo. ¡Otra vez!
Sí, pero él no lo sabe. Solo sabe que desobedecimos las órdenes otra vez. Y que nos salvamos los pistachos otra vez. ¡Ah!
Hablando del rey de Roma.
¡No contestes! No hay que mostrar temor ni dejarnos llevar por los nervios.
He's like, hold on, let me calm myself down for this confrontation. Here you go.
Muy bien, adelante.
Just...
¡Oh! ¡Los nervios!
¡Ah, genial! Oh, ¿cómo le va?
Señor Block.
Estáis en un buen lío. Vais a ir directos al Tribunal Supremo.
¿El Tribunal Supremo? Muy bien. De nuevo, que no cunda el pánico.
Estoy tranquilo.
Una vez fui abogado en la corte de la reina. Asumo nuestra defensa.
So yeah, little bit more of Christmas Carol for it, or not Christmas Carol, Snow Way Out. It looks like it's gonna be a really fun episode. Any more questions from you guys? Otherwise, I'm thinking about wrapping this up. We're getting pretty close to the end here. I did my full crossover review, and that seems to be pretty much it. That's everything I have to cover for tonight. Alright. I think I'm going to end the stream. Thank you all for coming so much. The YouTube video, I will check it out a bit later. Link whatever to the crossover on your Twitter. Just kind of scroll through. I've put a couple things in there of people. I think if you look at Turn Mastermind, he has it, and obviously you can find it on Kim Cartoon. Do I have a Tumblr? No Tumblr. Thank you for the nice compliment, Fernando. Another live stream is going to happen when we get the English version of Snow Way Out and Teacher Feature, which is going to be next Tuesday. If I'm able to see it by next Tuesday night, I'll have an early review up there. Most noticeable continuity error is clearly time travel. Facebook, I'm creating a Facebook, but it's not fully up yet. Alrighty, guys, goodbye. It's been a lot of fun, and I will see you guys in another video, because that's typically what I say, but it might be in a live stream. You never know.